Hi everyone. Today's lesson is about chord inversions and we'll be focusing on only three, which is the three basic inversions that we have. So let's talk a little bit about what inversions are. So there are 3 points to what an inversion is. 1. It is a reshuffle of the order of the notes. So I'll say that again. 1, it reshuffles the order of the notes. 2, it can be applied to any chord or triad containing just 3 notes, but also work with 7th chords or indeed any chord with 4 or more notes. 3, it is a great tool composers and arrangers use in their music. So like I said in the beginning, we'll be focusing on only 3 types of inversions. So we have moving from left to right. In the orange box, we have root position. In the cream to brown box, we have first inversion. And in the gray, kind of greenish box, we have second inversion. Those are the 3 inversions that we'll be focusing on today. So, starting with root position, this is the chord that we are going to try to build using this type of inversion. So we know that chords, the basic chord I should say, is built upon the first, the third, and the fifth. Our focus will be placed on the C major chord, and once again we are going to try to build it in root position. So when we are thinking about root position, there are different types of methods that you can draw this triad or this chord in. Today we'll be focusing on the horizontal way, and that arrow just signifies that we are going from down to up. So we are building a column or a house. Let's say that we are building a house. So for root position, you need the root slash the first, and that would act as our foundation. Remember we said we are building a house, so that would act as our foundation. Then we are talking about the pillars of the house, which would represent the third in this case. And lastly, the fifth of the house, which of course would be the roof. So now we know that the roots or the first have to be the foundation, the third would act as the pillar, and the fifth would act as the roof in root position. So let's lay out our letters. So we have C, E, and G. So C would be the root or the first, which is the foundation. E would be the pillar, and G would be the roof, which is the fifth. What I want you all to observe is the manner in which it is laid out. So the root or the first, in this case, which you remember, to build a chord you need 3. You need the first, you need the third, and you need the fifth. Correct? So the first would act as your foundation in this case. The third would be your pillar, and the roof would be your fifth. So that is how it would look, forming a column horizontally. This is what it looks like on a staff, a musical staff, when it's building horizontally as well. So we have the tonic, which is the first. We have the tonic and the third now sitting on top of it in treble clef, which is C and E. And then the last one, when you add it, which is a G, to form that full column, you would get the G on top. So the C would act as the foundation, just like what we saw the third would act as the pillar, and the fifth would act as the roof of the house. Now, here we have it in both column form, and we also have it in a broken chord form. So we have C, E, and G, which we call not just broken, but we call it a melodious form, right? So in the melodious form, they are not sitting on top of each other, but they are sitting next to each other. Whereas in a harmonic form, they are sitting on top of each other, like stacking blocks for the house. So now what we are going to do, we are moving on to first inversion, which is slightly different from root position. In first inversion, we need the basic chord, which is 1, 3, and 5. Similar to the root position, we are also going to be building the C major chord. Just this time is going to be in first inversion. We are building it horizontally, or a column, or what we call harmonically. We are going up, right? So let me just lay out everything. So this time you realize that we still have foundation, pillar, and roof. This time though, the numbers have changed. So this time, acting as the foundation, we have the third of the chord. Acting as the pillar, we have the fifth. And acting as the roof, we have the first, or the root of the chord. So this is what it would look like. It would look like in letters. So now the E would be the foundation, because that's the third. The G would be the pillar, and C would now act as the roof. So all we did was reshuffle it by moving the C up. Now what I want you all to remember is that in this case, the C, so we are reading from left to right, the first harmonic in root position, the C was the root, right, which is middle C. Middle C was the root. And when we move it up, you realize that it moved up 1 octave. It didn't move up 2 or 3, but it moved up 1 octave. So it went above. And I like to call it the little snowman, because he has a head, a little space, and then he has a body, right? This is what C major in first inversion will look like, written melodiously as well as harmonically. So melodiously, with the same reshuffle in first inversion, it would now be E, G, and then the octave C. And when it's written harmonically, it will be E, G, and C, the octave. Now the reason why they wrote that 6 there is because the distance, or the interval number between E and the C, is a sixth. That is why they wrote the 6 there. Last thing now that we are doing, we are focusing on first inversion. And we would need the same basic chords, the same basic notes for the chords, which is 1, 3, and 5. We are still building it in C major chord. We are still building it harmonically or horizontally. We are still building that column. We are still building that house. So we are going from bottom to top. So as I laid everything out here, you see when we're building the house, the foundation never moved, the pillar never moved, nor the roof. But the numbers was reshuffled to suit this type of house, which is second inversion house. So we have the fifth is now acting as the foundation. The first, or the root, is acting as the pillar. and the third is now acting as the root. So let's lay out those letters. So the fifth letter in C major, which is G, would now act as a foundation. The first or the root letter would now be the pillar, which is C, and the third would now act as a roof, which is E. And this is what it would look like in, I'm going back, this is what it would look like in first inversion, but when you change it second now, you realize there's a difference. So the first one, moving from left to right when you're reading, starting on your left is root position. First inversion, you carry the C up an octave, and second inversion, the E is now on top of the C, an octave up as well. Right? So take your time and focus.